The Deathworld ambassador and her human protector were having children across the galaxy. Scientists immediately began asking dangerous questions. What would a human-Kyari hybrid look like? The galaxy had already accepted many impossible things. They had accepted that Ambassador Alana of Kyre was one of the most dangerous diplomats in existence. They had accepted that a human bodyguard named Stephen Holston had survived multiple assassination attempts meant for her. They had even accepted that two Deathworld species could form an alliance. But the galaxy was not ready for what came next. Because 2 years after the alliance began, the Deathworld ambassador married her human bodyguard. The wedding that made empires nervous. The wedding took place on Earth, not on the council station, not on Kyre, but on the human homeworld. Stephen had insisted. Alana had agreed, partly because she respected human tradition, partly because she had learned something important about Earth. No one intimidated humans on their own planet. The ceremony took place on a high cliff overlooking a massive ocean. Storm clouds rolled across the horizon. Waves crashed violently against black rock below. It was chaotic, wild, dangerous, and somehow perfect. Hundreds of diplomats attended, many of them nervous, because standing at the center of the ceremony were two apex predators from two different death worlds. Alana looked exactly as she always did, tall, elegant, her obsidian skin shining under the sunlight, her golden predator eyes calm and confident. Beside her stood Stephen Holston, in a simple human suit, calm posture, completely relaxed despite the fact that half the galaxy was watching. A human officiant spoke the final words. Do you choose to stand beside each other? Not as ambassador and bodyguard, but as partners? Stephen answered first. Yeah. Alana tilted her head slightly. You could sound more formal. He shrugged. You know what I mean. The guests laughed nervously. Then Alana answered. Yes. The moment their hands joined, something strange happened across the diplomatic networks of the galaxy. Several empires updated their threat assessments simultaneously, because now the situation had officially changed. This was no longer a political alliance. It was a family. Life after war years passed. For the first time in decades, Ambassador Alana's diplomatic missions became quieter. Not peaceful, but quieter. Many empires had learned a simple lesson. Threatening the Kyari ambassador meant dealing with humans. And threatening humans meant dealing with the Kyari. But the biggest change wasn't political. It was personal. One evening, inside their private residence on Earth, Stephen walked into the living room. Alana stood by the window watching a thunderstorm. Lightning illuminated the sky. You're smiling, Stephen said. She didn't turn around. You noticed. You usually only smile when someone makes a mistake. That is also true. He leaned beside her. So, what's the good news? Alana hesitated for a rare moment. The fearless Deathworld ambassador looked uncertain. Then she said something unexpected. We are going to have children. Stephen blinked. Wait. You heard correctly. Children? Yes. He stared at her. You're serious? Alana's golden eyes softened slightly. Yes. Stephen slowly sat down. Wow. Alana tilted her head. That reaction seems unusually calm. Stephen laughed. I've fought assassins, alien fleets, and political conspiracies. 2 kids don't scare me. She raised an eyebrow. It should. The galaxy watches again. The news spread quickly. The Deathworld ambassador and her human protector were having children. Across the galaxy, scientists immediately began asking dangerous questions. What would a human-Kyari hybrid look like? Would they inherit human endurance? Kyari predator instincts? Both? Some empires quietly updated their long-term threat projections again. Because if those children survived, they could become something entirely new. Something the galaxy had never seen before. The twins, several years later, the council station hosted an unusual diplomatic visit. Ambassador Alana had returned, but this time she wasn't alone. Stephen walked beside her through the station corridor, and between them walked 2 small figures, a boy and a girl. The boy looked mostly human, with brown hair like his father, but his eyes glowed faintly gold like his mother's. The girl looked more Kyari, her skin slightly darker, her eyes sharp and curious, but she smiled easily like a human child. Delegates across the corridor froze when they saw them. Alana noticed. They are staring. Stephen shrugged. Kids do that to people. Not usually diplomats. The girl looked up at Alana. Mother. Yes. Why is everyone afraid? Stephen chuckled quietly. A good question. Alana knelt beside her daughter. They are not afraid. They are cautious. The boy looked around curiously. Why? Stephen answered. Because your mom is famous. And you're not. Stephen smiled. Not as much. The girl looked thoughtful. Then she asked the question that would later appear in dozens of diplomatic reports. Are we dangerous? Stephen and Alana exchanged a glance. Then Stephen answered. Only if someone hurts the people you care about. The girl nodded seriously. That seems fair. The incident, the moment that truly terrified the galaxy, happened a few minutes later. A large alien diplomat accidentally stepped into the corridor. He was enormous, nearly 3 meters tall. And unfortunately, he stepped directly into the children's path. The boy looked up at him calmly. The diplomat sneered slightly. You should keep your offspring under control, Ambassador. Stephen stiffened slightly. Alana's golden eyes narrowed. But before either parent could speak, the boy answered. Why? The diplomat laughed. Because I am larger than you. The boy tilted his head. Then he said something very human. That's not usually how it works. The diplomat reached forward as if to shove him aside. Stephen moved instantly, but he stopped. Because Alana had not moved. Instead, she was watching carefully. The boy stepped sideways with surprising speed. The diplomat stumbled. The girl calmly stuck out her foot. The enormous alien crashed to the floor. The corridor fell silent. The children looked down at the stunned diplomat. The girl spoke politely. You should watch where you walk. Stephen covered his face with one hand. Alana smiled proudly. A new generation later that evening, Stephen stood beside Alana, watching their children run across the observation deck. They're fast learners, he said. Yes. And a little dangerous. Yes. Stephen smiled. Your fault. Half your fault. They watched the twins chase each other across the deck, laughing, running, completely unaware that half the galaxy was now terrified of them. Stephen folded his arms. You think they'll be okay? Alana looked at their children, then at the endless stars beyond the glass. They will be extraordinary. Stephen chuckled. That's one word for it. She looked back at him, her golden eyes calm. For the first time in galactic history, she gestured toward their children. 2 Deathworld bloodlines have become one. Stephen smiled. Yeah. Somewhere across the galaxy, intelligence analysts quietly reached the same conclusion. Humanity had already been dangerous. Kyari predators had always been dangerous. But now a new generation existed. Children raised by 2 apex predators. And the galaxy had absolutely no idea what they would grow up to become.